There's no quick fix. In terms of just being able to handle stress, you just have to go through the trials. So that's why I would advise anyone, don't have crazy high ambitions with your first company or with your first thing you're going to do, because your threshold for what you can handle and what you can solve is also lower. I think there's this saying with stress, for example, that you can grow with stress. So if you manage stress in a healthy way, you can slowly expand your level of stress, like how much you can handle it. Be careful where you take advice from. Remember that you are the smartest person about your business because you're doing it every day, and just be very careful who you take advice from. Actually, it sounds arrogant, but one of my biggest mistakes have been taking on too much advice, honestly.
In today's episode, my guest is Karsten Madsen. Karsten is the founder and CEO of Morningscore, a tool which makes SEO fun as they help you to improve your SEO using gamification and deep insights. Before Morningscore, Karsten co-founded a company when he was still in high school, which led to his second company called Morning Train, a digital agency where they focus on digital marketing, web design, and web development. Two fun facts about Karsten: you might still see him sometimes wearing a spacesuit, and he lives in Amsterdam, whereas the company is located in Denmark. Welcome to the show, Karsten.
Hey, Joran. Nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Nice. Let's dive into you and the company. So I'm going to fire off some questions at you, and then we'll get to know you a little bit more.
Sure.
When did you start at Morning? Nice. And is it bootstrapped or
Funded, angel funded? We were lucky to get some government grants, basically free money, and a bit of loans, some loans as well. So I would say total 1 million euros in funding.
Yeah. And government grants, is it then from Denmark or the Netherlands?
European Union, but it was distributed from Denmark.
And at the moment, you're actually raising, right?
Yes, we're raising right now.
What is your current ARR?
800K. Now I'm talking dollars because that's what I know best, but $800K dollars.
And is there any separation between like service and product revenue?
Actually, I think 1% is non-service, but the rest is service. So it's almost all service.
All SaaS, yeah. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, it's pure SaaS play.
And how many employees do you guys currently have?
We have 10.
And the company is in Denmark, right? You're in the Netherlands. Is it remote, or are they all in Denmark?
Yeah, they're actually at an office in Denmark, and I'm remote, and we have one more guy in Slovenia. So we're 2 guys remote and the rest is in office. We like to be at the office, but if people need to work from home, they can also work from home. It's not like that, and that might sound a bit funny that I'm sitting here and I say we love the office. I also go to Denmark all the time. I have to go back and forth quite a lot. Yeah.
In 1 or 2 sentences, in your own words, what does Morningscore do?
We are a gamified SEO tool that helps you grow on Google, making it easy.
Yeah, nice. And I tried out the tool. I actually used it, and it's really nice how you guys do it, what you gave me.
Oh yeah, and you're good at SEO, I know that. You even gave me some tricks at one point.
And is this your first startup?
No, it's the second, yeah. Yeah, I've done a lot of weird things in between the others. My most fun startup is actually a crypto mining company. I was renting a priest house, and in the basement we set up a crypto mining company. But I don't think we have time to talk about that, but it was very fun.
I guess one question there, like how did it end it?
It burned. It ended up in smoke, as they say, but this time it was literal smoke.
You started your first company from in high school or right after high school?
Yeah, in high school we started it. I think it was in high school, yeah. Last year.
Does it mean you always wanted to be an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I never had a job, so I guess the answer is yes.
Interesting. And do you have an end goal defined with Morningscore?
Yeah, we want to help 1 million customers do this. 1 million companies, small companies, should grow big on Google. That's my end goal. Most people think, an exit or money or whatever. For me, it's all about having honor to the privilege, let's say, to build something amazing and get it in front of a lot of people. That's my passion. I mean, in Denmark, we are quite known. And I would say a lot of people come to me and they tell me that the way we build the software inspires other entrepreneurs to also build great software, great user interfaces and so on. And that's something that makes me incredibly proud and happy that I can help inspire others to build great software and just help people grow. I'm not looking for an exit, let's say.
Yeah, and this might already give me the answer to the next question. What keeps you motivated?
Yeah, I just gave it to you. I love building great products and inspiring people. Not that I find myself crazy inspiring, but I just part of the crafting something amazing with the team. I love it.
Yeah, your definitely inspiring others. I think the first time I met you was at the SaaS Awards in Amsterdam.
Oh,
Where
yeah.
I convinced you to wear the spacesuit.
You're the one. Yeah, you told me to do it. That was a great idea.
And in that evening, you definitely inspired others to think outside of the box and to do fun stuff as well.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, this was a bit the fire round. So let's dive deeper into the story of Morningscore. So let's start with the beginning. Like, how did you came up with the idea of Morningscore?
Yeah, I was really bad at school. Not really bad, but I was never passionate about that. I was bad at sport. I was bad at everything. So I had a very low self-esteem growing up. And I thought I would just do business just to get by because probably no one wanted to hire me. So that's probably why I never had a job as well, because I didn't think I was qualified. And yeah, I just figured out I could learn SEO. And that's the first thing that I remember I was finally good at. We started ranking really high for the agency that I built, and we got big clients that way. And that's actually the beginning of the success of that. So for me, SEO was a love story. Without it, I wouldn't have been here, or at least it would have taken way longer. And that joy of growing myself and the company, I really wanted to find a way to spread that to others, because there's so many out there who want to do SEO, but they're afraid of it. They think they're not good enough for it. And actually, it's really simple. You just need someone to guide you. And I think we built a tool to at least do part of that guidance. But
Yeah. And so the idea came from the agency, right?
yeah, but I think my deep motivation was myself. But it's true that the concrete thing that finally made me do it was that we had those clients who really didn't understand what we were doing for them and the growth we were creating for them. But yeah.
Yeah. And then did you at the beginning already know it was going to be such a success because you already had maybe a clientele you can tap into? Or
No, I actually didn't know at all. I had big dreams, and I think a lot of people around me at the time would say I was delusional. Oh, everyone told me this was not going to work. I have so many people coming to me today to say, I'm so surprised you guys made it. We thought you wouldn't. Story of my life. It was the same with my first company. Everyone also told me this was never going to work. Yeah.
And what was then the main reason? Because you already had big competitors out there? Or
Yeah, I think for Morningscore, it was really the competitive scenario that how could we do that? Yeah.
And do you think then, because you mentioned at the beginning, you want to guide clients on their journey, you want to gamify it. Is that part of the success where you take them by the hand, but then in a digital way, guide them towards success? Is that part of like the success story of Morningscore?
I think the user interface and how we make it, at least try to make it simple and easy, that's certainly part of the success. And then I would say the other part of the success is how we approach our customers. The fact that when you chat with us, we actually help you with your SEO. We give you tips. We check out your website. We analyze your website. We do a lot for our customers that normal customer service don't, and a normal chat doesn't. We certainly have no AI chatbots installed, and that's on purpose. We want to be humans talking to humans. So I would say the product and the gamification, of course, and then our culture of really helping customers and being like just, like friends with our customers. And I think those two things together have created a niche for us in the market that's actually slowly showing to be quite big, or the potential is huge, let's say.
Yeah, because with any interaction, you want to provide value towards the clients. Let's go into your story. So I guess like every entrepreneur, you have multiple businesses right now already, hits rock bottom at one point. Can you share a moment of yourself? It could be either financially, personally, and how did you get out of that situation?
I've hit so many. If you ask my wife, I'm hitting a rock bottom every 6 months. It's startup life, right? So you're going to have challenges all the time. With Morningscore, I've had many. But I guess the biggest rock bottom was early on. We had built a beta around the product. So we had 4,000 people using it for free. And it actually was really going well. People were hyped. They were telling us every day how they loved using it. And we had this really huge growth going on. Honestly, I think we had the fastest growing SEO tool ever at that point, because there was just so many people coming to it, because it was free, of course, but still we had 1,000 people coming in on a weekly basis at one point. It was like at the end, just before we closed the beta. And we should just have kept that going, but we were running out of money. So the biggest mistake I made was I looked at our runway, how much money we had left in the bank. And I said, look, we need to get this shit out there, because otherwise we're not going to make money. So basically start charging money for it so we could extend our runway. But what I should have done, because I knew the product wasn't finished, it was still full of bugs and it was not nearly good enough to actually be worth money. I would honestly say that. So what I should have done, I should have gone to my investor and said, hey, can we get a bit more money so we can at least spend another 3 to 6 months to just keep this amazing hype going that we had and just finish the product. It was a no-brainer. Everyone would have said yes, but I still sometimes have a bit of an autistic brain. And I'm like, I promised this, so I have to do this. So in my mind, I didn't even think about that option. It sounds stupid today, but it really was like that. So honestly, we almost killed the business after that. We slowly came back and we had some strong moments after that, but that was a very big learning that I'll never forget.
Yeah, and what exactly did you guys do? Did you put like a free trial on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you had to pay, of course. We told all our beta users, now it's time to pay. And out of 4,000 beta users, 30 decided to pay.
Okay. And I guess from those at one point 1,000 free users, new users per week, that number started declining because they also saw pricing.
Yeah, that was like down to 100 or something. Yeah.
Was this your most challenging period as well, as in making that decision and then finding out that it wasn't?
It felt very challenging at the time, but I think there's this saying with stress, for example, that you can grow with stress. So if you manage stress in a healthy way, you can slowly expand your level of stress, like how much you can handle. And honestly, the last 6 months, I've also gone through a lot of challenges that are actually, when you think about it, at least the amount of different challenges I had to overcome was bigger, but I wasn't stressed. I didn't have trouble sleeping. I wasn't even worried because I'm so used to it by now. And that's why I mentioned my wife earlier, because she's scared sometimes. And I'm just like, I'm chill because I've been doing it so many times. I know it's always going to work out as long as you keep to it and you keep fighting. You're always going to find a solution. And truth be told, I have managed to find, together with the team, of course, solutions for all of our problems in the last 6 months. And now we're doing better than ever. We have a lot of challenges upcoming. That's life. So that's one thing I've gotten really good at, is just like dealing with challenges.
Yeah. And if you, because there's a lot of people who probably don't deal with it like yourself, as in at one point you get good at it, but I guess, is there anything you learned? What is helping you to deal with these challenges? Like any advice you can give others?
Well, something new I started doing is meditating twice a day. And I'm a farmer's son. I'm not really a kind of hippie person. I laugh a bit about it myself, but it really does work. So that's a very practical thing I do. But honestly, no, there's no quick fix. In terms of just being able to handle stress, you just have to go through the trials. So that's why I would advise anyone, don't have crazy high ambitions with your first company or with your first thing you're going to do, because your threshold for what you can handle and what you can solve is also lower. So as you slowly increase your ambition, you will also at the same time increase your capacity to handle challenges and so on.
Yeah, just head them face on, and then at one point you get used to it.
Yeah, I would say, yeah.
And is this moment you just described like your rock bottom moment, was it also the biggest company challenge you guys have, or
No,
a different moment? Okay.
only it felt like that at the time, but we had bigger challenges. Yeah, we had a lot of other challenges.
Is there like one moment in particular you can highlight, and then also like how you got out of that one?
Yeah, so 2022, I had to let half the team go. We were 15 people at the time. We thought we were going to be a venture capital case, and we weren't ready, honestly. We had pursued the wrong growth strategy. We were starting to do sales-led, so we hired a lot of salespeople instead of being marketing-led and product-led. So that was a mistake. It was very expensive growth, and it was showing in our core metrics. So numbers like LTV CAC and all these associated metrics were really bad at the time. So even as the funding market was crazy hyped, it was such a fun time to be in. I never forget that time. It was crazy. Even as the market was so crazy, we were clearly just running a too inflated business that didn't grow at the same time fast enough. So I learned a lot from that. And I think that was the biggest low for the company, to have to fire half the team and talk to my current angel investor and the rest of the team and scrap money together and then just get the funding to survive. We were doing pretty okay at the time. We were always going to find a way. But let's say I needed some funding, some loans, and at least some money so I could make sure that we didn't have to fire even more people, because I was like left with a critical mass of what I considered necessary to run the business I wanted to run.
Yeah. And like what initiated for you to go towards sales led, like instead of, because PLG was working for you?
Yeah, it was working wonderfully. No, we weren't growing. Investors always want faster growth. We were growing like 10% month to month at one point, but oh no, it should be 15%. So they were like, let's look at, and I kept saying to the board, look, the product isn't ready. We need to focus on investing in a product. And at that time, it was the crazy days. Everyone was greedy in 2021 and 2022. It was just all about growing fast. And to be fair, I was the CEO of the company at the time, so I take full responsibility. But I was persuaded to go more in a sales-led direction, even though I have no experience in sales. So yeah, that was a big mistake in my opinion.
Yeah. So and did the product change a lot? Did you drop, for example, the get started, the free trial?
No, the self-service part of the product was exactly the same. We just tried to expand it with more sales on top.
Yeah. When we talk about the positive effects or the positive things you did to grow where you are right now, are there certain things you said, hey, if we haven't done X, Y, Z, we wouldn't be here? Because we now talked about all mistakes, but let's talk about the good things.
We've done so many amazing things. I think that the first simple thing we did was be very scrappy and hustly. So now I mentioned 4,000 beta users. How did we get those? We went on every Facebook group there is related to our business or entrepreneurship or whatever, and we started posting in there. We started interacting with people. I connected with all the people I could on LinkedIn. I wrote everyone in my network. I called a lot of people I knew, contacted different associations that say, hey, could you promote this free deal to your members since it's free? Many of them wanted to do it because it was a free beta. They thought it was cool to share. So me and my marketing employee at the time, we just went all in. We just went everywhere. And honestly, that's how we got to the 4,000, was just grind. And I don't see that many other startups be as grinding as we were in the beginning. In my opinion, that's what you need to do.
Yeah. And that's especially for the begin period, right? Like
Yeah.
What has been your go-to-market strategy after, like probably SEO?
Yeah. So SEO was the most important go-to-marketing strategy after that initial. And I honestly wish we had not stopped doing the grind, because then we started doing more ads and we became a little bit too fancy and sophisticated, and we should just have kept grinding, because when you look at it, it's actually a very good business case to just keep grinding a bit longer. So actually what I'm still doing is I go on Reddit and Facebook groups and so on, and sometimes I join the debates and talk about my company and so on, and that actually still delivers customers to us at a very cheap, even paying for my salary and everything, it's very cheap. Of course, I have so many other things to do, but I just think it's important to keep spreading the message in a very grinding way. And I wish I could hire an employee to do that, but it's these things where it's really hard if you're not the founder. It's really hard to find someone who will do that for you.
Yeah, and I think in your case, it's also going to give you insights, right? If you actually join the conversation, as you mentioned, you'll probably maybe get some insights.
Yeah, exactly. And people want to interact with the founder more than maybe the intern or I don't know.
Yeah, nice. So the only thing, I guess, which is going to take you to keep grinding is time instead of spending money to ads. It's a good thing you still doing right now.
Yeah, I do a bit, not a lot, like a half an hour a week. It's not more than that. But if we're back to how we grew, I would say SEO for sure. And then partnerships, so affiliate partnerships. Speaking of Redditors, which we're also using. And affiliate partnerships has been one of our top 3. And the last thing that we actually this has over time become our most important growth channel is strategic partnerships. So I differentiate between affiliate partnerships, which is more like online referrals where people refer your product and they get paid a commission, where strategic partnerships could be something like us partnering with Team Blue, which is one of the biggest hosting companies in Europe, and having them promote our product in a bigger collaboration because they see the benefit, is something different. And that is becoming our most important collaboration. But that actually came out of the affiliate. So I would always advise anyone, and I'm not just trying to push Redditors here, but I would advise anyone to start with the affiliate, and then you can always move on to more strategic partnerships because they can also come out of the affiliate. So those are the channels that we're currently investing in. And we do also a little bit of Google ads and so on, but it's not a big deal for us.
No. It's more that you almost have to do it rather than you really invest a lot.
Yeah, actually, Google Ads is mostly to gain insights, because Google Ads is the only way we can really track which keywords delivers customers, which you can't really do it that easily with SEO. So for us, it's mostly just to experiment and figure out which keywords are working and keep knowing which keywords are working, so we have that constant data. But if you look at our budget, we spent like 2,000 euros a month on Google Ads. It's like nothing compared to the other activities.
Yeah. Yeah, and one follow-up question, what you said regarding affiliates going into strategic partnerships. Has it then been for you guys that you figured out like what is working with affiliates, which turned into bigger strategic partnerships, or how did it Like how did that?
Yeah. Like the revenue share has been a thing where we've experimented first with the affiliates. So that has something we could take on, but also just finding the affiliates. Some of the affiliates we ended up finding were actually connected to the enterprise or actually were enterprise. Team Blue, I think, actually started as an affiliate. There was some kind of talk at the same time, but I think it came through that somehow.
Are you struggling to find people and companies which have access to your ideal customer profile? At Redditis, we just launched the second side of the marketplace, which allows you to search, filter, and contact B2B SaaS affiliates which have access to the audience you're looking for. We do this by leveraging first-party data sources. Want to learn more? Go to getredditis.com. If we talk about your growth, well, talk about the company. Are you using any kind of processes, frameworks internally, which helped you to get to this point? So if we talk about EOS or Traction, like any kinds of the frameworks, is it all then like what you guys is good, you do it? Or?
I don't like frameworks. I know many of them. I read many books on all kinds of frameworks and so on, but my main philosophy is a freedom of the individual, become your own boss inside the company. I'm always looking for people who can, be their own boss in a way. And of course, we collaborate with tools like Slack and Jira and other tools for project management. But for me, that's just a tool. And then you could say, oh, you need to follow the right methodologies and so on. There was a time when we spent a lot of energy making sure we would count. When you do development, you do something that's called story points. So you measure the time it takes to develop a feature or a function or whatever. And we spend a lot of energy coming up with a perfect system for that and so on. But then at the end of the day, it didn't increase productivity by much. Maybe it even decreased productivity. I believe if you're a small team below 20 people, you don't need any frameworks, in my opinion. But again, I don't tell you to run your business like I do, but at Morningscore, we don't do frameworks.
No, love it. And I guess if we talk about, the company, because you're based in Amsterdam, the majority of the company is based in Denmark. You mentioned at the beginning you're traveling back and forth. Because most people are in the office. How do you make that work?
So we are a lot on Slack. So actually what happens when I come to the headquarters in Denmark is that I find myself getting messages from the other team members on Slack. Hey, can you check this for me? Can you do this? And I'm just like, dude, I'm here now. Why don't you just come and talk to me? So I think we're very good at communicating through those messages and through that. So that's really part of how we do things. So honestly, I don't feel a big difference being in the office. But what I really use the office for is those bigger discussions. Like, for example, I just came from Denmark, right? And what we were discussing is the funding and some new learnings we've had with the team. And my CTO told me some important parts about how we're going to have to find the right next employees and so on. And we really debated that in terms of the funding. Okay, if we're going to get this money, how are we going to spend that money? And that really deep discussion where we just keep on ping-ponging with each other, it works way better in a room together. So I spend 2 times a month. I try to be in Denmark a couple of days. And that's where we really do these ping pong. And I find it's enough. I don't need more. And I would say another benefit of me being here is that this is just because of my personality, but I'm the kind of person who gets easily distracted and stressed in an office environment. I actually focus way better at home or home, but wherever I am, where I'm alone. So if I was in an office, I would probably get my own little room or whatever, because I'm not very good at being distracted all the time. So actually coming here to Amsterdam has actually helped me focus and see things more clearly because I can see it a bit from the outside, if that makes sense. I mean, there are a lot of drawbacks too, of course. Sometimes I wish I could be there more with the team. And actually the biggest drawback is for my enjoyment. Like day to day, I sometimes wish I was with the team when we hit some big milestones. It's a bit sad that sometimes I have to celebrate with them online. So that's actually the biggest drawback is my personal enjoyment. And that's also going to change because we're soon going to hire people here in the Netherlands as well. So we're going to have 2 offices basically.
Yeah. So you are going to go back to an office, but then in Amsterdam.
Yeah, I'm actually an anti-remote advocate working remote. I'm the biggest hypocrite in the world, yeah.
Because if I understand correctly, when you go to Denmark, you plan all the meetings and your focus time is when you're in Amsterdam. So it's quite nice that you really can focus on certain things when you're in Amsterdam and you want to have meetings, you do them face-to-face in the office.
Yeah, exactly.
When we talk about your founder journey, are there any things you regret you didn't do?
I once calculated like a projection of what how big could we have been today if we just kept the beta going for another 6 months? I don't want to think about that again. No, don't make that calculation. That's obviously a big regret. But apart from that, especially lately, I try to think about just enjoy the journey. I've always been good at that, but it's something I really focus on now, because I actually heard a lot of stories from people who have sold their businesses, some friends of mine as well. And they're actually they're in a crisis now because they sold their businesses for enough money that they don't have to ever work again. And now they're just like, they're trying to find meaning in their life and they want that next rush, but they can't find it. And at the same time, they've gotten so comfortable now with all that money that they're a bit too lazy to get back in the game, back in the arena. So now they're stuck. I don't really want to do that. And I think that's why even when sometimes things are tough, I'm like, yeah, but this is it. This is the grind. That's what I want to do.
Interesting. And when we look at Morningscore, how do you guys now leverage new technologies like AI, machine learning, etc.? Like what do you guys are using new technology-wise and how?
Yeah, so one thing that was very important for us was not just to add another chatbot to our system like we've seen a lot of other SaaS doing. Shots fired, but seriously, come on, guys. I'm so tired of that. For us, it's important to do it something that's actually a little bit innovative. I know this is a bit arrogant to say, but that's my opinion. And I think what we're doing now is we're looking at getting our keywords in our system to be more intelligent based on AI. And we're also starting to look into how our missions can be more intelligent based on this AI. But actually, so far, the cost of AI has been a bit too big for us. And ChatGPT or OpenAI, they released a new model with drastically lower pricing. And that's very interesting for us because that means we can finally, because we have so much data and for us, the cost can quickly get out of hand. But now with this new model, we're actually really excited to see what that can bring. But yeah, once we release some proper AI into our tool, we want to do it right. And I think it's coming within a year.
Nice. And we're going to find out what it is, but it's not going to be a chatbot.
No, it's not going to be a chat.
Nice. Because I think like a lot of companies changed their go-to-market like lately. You went through the process before, right, where you were sales-led, product-led. Are there any things you're currently changing or doing differently or you have planned for 2024, which is going to help you guys grow further?
Good question, but actually sticking to what we already do well is our new mantra. Do few things has been our mantra since 2023. And so focusing on the partners and the SEO. Don't do too many new things because every new thing you're going to do, you'll have to divide your energy between more things. And I've just learned, because I'm also the kind of person who like, I want to do everything. And then you see the result and it's not good. So I've really learned to just do a few things well. And that's what I'm really excited about keeping on doing.
Nice. So you mentioned before you went from sales-led to product-led growth, right? Taking advice from somebody else. It's often a thing you have to avoid as taking advice from people who are maybe not in your industry or don't have all the knowledge you have as a SaaS founder. Did you came across any of those kind of issues in your journey?
Yeah, I'm a big victim of taking on too much advice from people who actually don't know what I'm doing or have industry expertise. That's actually cost me millions. That was in kroner. It's cost me hundreds of thousands of euros. And so I actually have a new rule. If you haven't done what I've done in the industry I'm in, so I'm in the MarTech industry, if we're talking SaaS specifically, and also if you haven't sold a product at the price range where I'm selling it at, so around $50 a month, if you haven't done that, then I can't use your advice because it's so specific. Let's just look at the price for a second. If I'm selling at a $50 a month, that dictates which marketing channels I can use, how I should sell the product, if I should invite salespeople on board or not. It's just everything around the whole sales journey, the customer journey, everything is tied to the pricing point. Because if you have a very big price point, then you can also justify a completely different customer journey and channels and all that jazz. So yeah, since I've had that rule for about a year now, and since I've stuck to that rule, I've avoided a lot of bad advice. And I would urge anyone to do the same. Like, just be careful where you take advice from. Remember that you are the smartest person about your business because you're doing it every day, and just be very careful who you take advice from. Actually, it sounds arrogant, but one of my biggest mistakes have been taking on too much advice, honestly.
I think it's a good quality to have. Who should you take advice from? Because everybody like means it well and they want to give advice, but it's not always the best advice you can take. Like I 100% agree. And Does it count for everybody for you? There's a lot of consultants out there, agencies, have people who want to sell you things or want to help you. This is your golden rule for anything you do?
Yeah, maybe, but not always like that. But I don't know. There's a lot of people who want to sell you all kinds of ideas and advice, of course, and that's fair. And sometimes you should listen to what they have to say. But yeah, mainly I find even actually the most dangerous advice is the free advice, because then you're like, oh, it's for free. And especially if it's someone who's 10 times richer than you or 10 times more successful than you, and they give you advice for free, you're like, oh, I should listen. Oh, I should really take this in because this guy is giving it for free and they don't even ask anything in return. So it must be from a valid place. Yeah, but still, if they don't know your industry and they don't know your pricing point or what you're doing, don't take the advice. That's my go-to.
Makes a lot of sense. We are going to ask for your advice. And I guess for people now listening, exactly which industry Karsten is in, you will know exactly which pricing segment he's in. So if he's not in yours, then maybe you don't even want to listen to this.
Oh, but I always want to talk to people. It's not like I'm not like, and they're always welcome to diss my company or tell me I'm stupid. I'm not like that. I love to be, it's just, I'm not necessarily going to use their advice. They're welcome to give it.
No, and that's it, because I'm going to ask you now 2 questions which might not be relevant for everybody listening. So that's why I was just making this note. Because what kind of advice would you give somebody who's just starting out, so other SaaS founder and trying to grow to 10K monthly recurring revenue?
Yeah, so I would say don't take too much advice. Be careful, right? And grind. Know that this is, if you're too fancy to get dirty, then don't do this, because in the beginning, you need to just get out there and tell everyone that what you're doing and really grind it. In most cases, that's the case. If you're doing some kind of deep tech, maybe that doesn't apply to you. But for those of us who are out here to catch customers, we need to just grind. One maybe tip, if it feels uncomfortable, then it's good. If there's pain involved, then it's good. If it doesn't feel uncomfortable or painful, then you're doing something wrong. It has to feel a little bit like that. So an example could be some of the LinkedIn posts that I put up that I felt like shit, everyone's going to laugh at this, and I felt uncomfortable putting it up there. It was also my most successful ones that drove the most customers, because for whatever reason that really resonated with people. Another example is I hate sales, but you just got to suck it up and do that as part of, especially in the beginning as a founder. So if that feels uncomfortable to you, good. That means you should be doing more of it. And one thing I thought a lot about lately is that all of us entrepreneurs can easily read a book. We've all read many of the same books. So knowledge is actually, even if it takes a long time to read a book, it's not painful. Everyone can do it. But what is the one thing that most people have a hard time doing? It's being brave and having and enduring pain. So actually now I have this new mindset that I'm like, if something is painful, then I'm happy, because it's like, it means that this is actually the real growth hack, right? If it's painful, it's a growth hack for me, because I know that not many other people will be doing this, if that makes sense.
I'm going to make a note of this, of it. And it makes a lot of sense, because in the end, like, people are going to go for the comfortable route many of the time. So only the ones who go for the painful route will see other results than the comfortable route. Dive past 10K MRR. What kind of advice would you give another SaaS founder who passed 10K MRR and growing all the way to 10 million ARR?
Yeah, so since I've never grown to 10 million ARR, I wouldn't pretend to know. We're just south of 1 million. So when you get past 10K, maybe you need to hire along the way. Obviously, hiring is a whole story of itself. It's really hard to do. So really be careful there. But in terms of pure growth, how are you going to grow your way there from 10K to, let's say, 1 million? That's a journey I think I can talk about. Just don't do too many things, because that's one of the things that slowed our growth, was when we were doing ads on 5 different platforms, SEO a little bit over here and a little bit over there. We did conferences and big things. If you looked at the different marketing tactics you could employ, and of course we did sales on top. So we did everything at the same time. And that really cost a lot of money, and it slowed the growth. From 10K to 1 million, because it's still not time. You're not going to deplete your market, because what big companies often face is that, for example, Google Ads, they're like, yeah, it's fine to spend money on Google Ads, but there's only so much market. So I'm going to use other channels as well. From 10K to 1 million, you're not going to run out of market. So just focus. That would be my take on it. I think that's just to get there as cheap and as fast as possible, is to choose a few good channels. That would be my take on it.
Nice. Thank you. Let me try to summarize this. In this episode, we talked about Karsten is on his way helping 1 million companies with SEO. As someone who's bad at everything, as he mentioned himself, he wants to build something amazing. Started off an agency, which is a great way to get started. Had a lot of challenges along the way, and you actually get used to big challenges. What he said, enjoy the journey. If something is painful, it is actually good. If something is uncomfortable, it's actually good, especially at the beginning. So keep that in mind. If you do have challenges, meditation can help even a farmer's son. If your beta is going well, maybe not cut it off too soon. So make sure you keep that growth and then figure out how you can go from there. For growth, affiliates has been, which could also divert into strategic partnerships where they came in as an affiliate. Have people become their own boss in the company. And as a CEO, you can be remote. Take advice from people who have experience in your industry and pricing segment. So if Karsten is not one of them, then you might not want to take advice from him. So this is the summary, I think, which we covered today. Thanks again for coming on, Karsten. If people want to get in contact with you, so if they are in the right industry, pricing segment, where can they do so?
On LinkedIn is pretty good. To find me on LinkedIn, I'm there.
Cool. We're going to add a link to your LinkedIn profile in the show notes. For people listening, we're going to add, again, a poll to this episode. So please respond to that so we know what you liked of this episode. And if you haven't done so, leave us a review so we can grow the podcast even further. And again, thanks for coming on, Karsten.
Yeah, it was fun being here. Thanks, Joran.
Cheers. Thank you for watching this show of the Grow Your B2B SaaS podcast. You made it till the end, so I think we can assume you like this content. If you did, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. If you like this content, feel free to reach out if you want to sponsor the show. If you have a specific guest in mind, if you have a specific topic you want us to cover, reach out to me on LinkedIn. More than happy to take a look at it. If you want to know more about Reditus, feel free to reach out as well. But for now, have a great day and good luck growing your B2B SaaS.